Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Well, hello, everybody. As you can see, our three smiling faces here today. We've got a little different look to our podcast, and this one will be permanent. We sort of gave Doug the keys to the whole system, and he's kind of made us something that looks a lot better and should work a lot better for us. So, as you can see, I'm Paul Carruthers, by the way, and I'm the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. To my left, I think he's left, is Sean Bice, who's out in Ohio, and down at the bottom there, we've got Blake Davis, who is the recently crowned, I guess it's not so recent, but it still seems kind of recent, the recently crowned two-time MotoAmerica Twins Cup champion. He won the title this year in 2023, successfully defending the title from 2022. And Sean, I know, to me, what was really impressive with Blake was the last weekend of the season. Because all hell was breaking loose. The weather was horrible. There was a championship on the line. He was battling. He had teammates going against him, and he was kind of like the lone soldier on his Yamaha. And he won both races and went home with the championship. And it just showed me a lot. A kid his age to withstand the pressure that he withstood on that last weekend was ultra impressive.
Oh, it was incredible. And I mean, Blake, I don't want to doubt you, but I mean, going into that weekend, it seemed like it was all this talk about it's going to be Gus or it's going to be Rocco. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but they had a custom-made Aprilia Tuono 660, and whoever won the championship was going to get that bike. So rightfully, that's yours, but I know you're a Yamaha rider. So, but I mean, I'm not trying to bust on that team at all, but they were planning to have one of those guys win it. And not going to say I doubted it, but it just was like, especially you had the number one on your bike and you defended it beautifully all year long. And you brought it down to the end and you made it happen. That was an incredible championship.
Yeah, it was definitely looking a little scary going into the last round at New Jersey, but definitely was really excited when I saw the rain coming. I knew I was really good in the rain and I knew I could do the double. I just had to be smooth and put my head down and go.
Yeah, there was sort of I got a sense from you that you were very confident the entire time. I can tell sometimes when some riders start complaining about the weather or complaining about the track, it kind of puts them in a negative headspace. And I don't think they know that that's what they're doing to themselves. But with you, I mean, you were smiling, you were happy, you were confident. And once I saw you and saw how you reacted, and especially after race one, I'm like, man, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I definitely, I always like to say everyone races on the same track. So no matter what, it's all even playing field, and no matter what the conditions are, everyone's going to be, dealing with the same kind of issues. And I just knew had to keep, a good spirit about it. And I knew I could wrap it up.
And the season didn't start out that great. I mean, you ended up with 9 total podiums and 3 wins, but it wasn't a dominating season from start to finish by any means, but you just hung in there, and then stuff started to unravel a little bit and you were able to take full advantage.
Yeah, towards the beginning of the season, I kind of struggled a little bit. At Daytona, we had a few little, problems with the bike, just figuring some stuff out, and I ended up taking 2 fourth places there, and definitely not what I wanted, already being back in points with Gus winning both of those races, I think. Stefano might have won one. I don't remember for sure, but, Gus was definitely up there. And then the next round right after that at Road Atlanta, I crashed out of race 2. And it was just, from there on, I already started, way back in points. And it was just kind of having to catch up from there.
Blake, do you, the other thing I wanted to mention, of course, is that final weekend going into New Jersey. I mean, I don't know if Gus Rodeo has any more laps on that track than you do or not. You'd think he does because he was local, but he does a lot on the kart track, mini stuff. So, but they were playing up home field advantage and all that, and being local, and that was their home track, is Gus's home track, and I mean, that was a formidable challenge for you to go up against too. So, but you faced it the right way. That track, is going. I don't know if it's been. Yeah, it's being worked on right now, being
Yeah.
repaved. So, are you glad it's going to be repaved? You looking forward to going back next year?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it to be repaved. It's a really good layout. Just the surface wasn't at the greatest, and I think being repaved is going to make it a whole lot more fun next year, and it'll fit. If I were to be on the twin again, it would fit the twin a lot better, and just the R7 had a lot of problems with stability, and we ended up getting it figured out. We were just a little bit off in setup, but like last year there, I really struggled in 2022. Towards the beginning of the weekend, that's kind of where I think, figured out our R7 setup, at least the base setup, because just those bumps really upset the bike. And once we got that figured out, I felt like that's kind of where I picked everything up.
You've been you've dipped your toe, let's say, in Supersport this year. Rode an R6 a little bit, and do you use that bike as a practice bike? And do you think being on that bike helps you with racing the R7 in Twins Cup, or does it matter one way or the other? It's just seat time.
I definitely think it's helped going a lot faster. Once I get back on the R7, it kind of slows everything down for me, and I feel a lot more relaxed on the bike. And it's always best to be relaxed and loose. Never want to be in a rush when you're on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what are we doing next year? Are you coming back for a third shot at this championship, 3 in a row, or are we moving up? What are we doing?
Yeah, I will be moving up. I'm going to be racing the R6 in Supersport within 2. So I'm really excited for that. I did 2 rounds on it this year, plus I did Daytona. Daytona was good and bad. I made a mistake early in the race and dropped all the way back to dead last. And, I got in my groove, came back, and then ended up having a penalty that put me farther back down the field than what I would have liked. But I mean, Road America and Brainerd, I felt solid on the bike. I was struggling a little bit, just getting used to the new class and the aggression in the class and everything like that. But I feel comfortable on the bike.
It was kind of crazy speaking about Daytona because the red flag at the end, I mean, it was funny because I'm like, oh my God, is that what Sean and I think we're talking about it in the media center. We're like, okay, Blake Davis could win the Daytona 200. I mean, he's in the it wouldn't have gone over so well based on all the other stuff, but I mean, you were in position to actually win the Daytona 200 at the end of the race.
Yeah, I was in the top group and I was feeling really good. I made a mistake on the last lap, and I just pulled out of the draft too early and dropped back to the back of that front group. I think I came across the line in 6th, but I was speeding in pit lane earlier on in the race. And so I had a 15-second penalty, and I ended up finishing way back. But it was a blast. And plus getting all the experience up there with those top guys was amazing.
Yeah, how did Blake tell us? I kind of know this a little bit, but tell the viewers and the listeners about how this works with you a little bit, because I think I'm right that it's in Twins Cup on the R7 year. N2 Racing bobblehead moto with Shiloh Salopek as your crew chief. But when you're riding the R6, is it true that it's your own family's endeavor, and your dad Mike and your mom Shelby's involved, and probably your other siblings too? So tell us, it's kind of 2 different things, isn't it?
Yes, so for the Daytona 200, it was my family putting me in it. So my dad was my crew chief, and my brother was doing fuel for me. My sister was fire extinguisher. It was kind of a family put together thing with some really amazing sponsors like Biothermal, and all of them really helped us out on that. For the other rounds, like Road America and Brainerd, that was back with N2 and Shiloh as my crew chief, and Bobblehead Moto, all of that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's a little bit hybrid. The other thing I don't know if people know about, and I barely know this myself, but maybe you can tell us about this. So you actually do have an agent. Chuck Giacchetto is your agent, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
So what did he do? Did he approach you and say, hey, I'd like to represent you or help you? How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah, it was kind of, we've been working with them a little bit. Just, we'd done a few tests with them, like at the same track as Westby and some stuff like that. And it really just came about. We needed someone that had the experience, and Chuck, offered to help us out a lot, and it was definitely something that looked really good, like a really good opportunity. And we took it, and he's been amazing. We love working with Chuck, and just like I said, he has a ton of knowledge about everything in this sport.
Yeah, and he's become kind of an R7 czar a little bit. He seems like the guy to go to. I mean, I think even Tom Halverson at Yamaha, it defers to him on dealing with that a little bit. And obviously he worked with Dominic Doyle this year and Nobi Iso. So he kind of had an opponent of yours and a good friend of yours too, and Dominic Doyle as his kind of ad hoc rider, but also he obviously is representing you. So that's kind of interesting. Any concerns, conflicts, or anything with that ever comes up?
No, not really. Me and Dom, we've raced together, in and out of the same class for a few years. I raced with him 1 year in Junior Cup, and then obviously last 2 years in Twins. So we definitely get along. There's nothing wrong with that. And Chuck is very professional, so didn't have to worry.
Now, it seems to me that one thing that I like to see with you is the fact that you progress quickly. I mean, you don't stick around in one class too long. You go move. And I think you have a vision of being ultimately, I guess, in the MotoAmerica Superbike class. And I know the way Yamaha feels about you. There's a distinct possibility that, I mean, we're not going to see a lot of you in those lower classes. That they're going to fast track you to Superbike if they can do so.
Yeah, that would definitely be amazing. Growing up, I saw a few kids in America that just, I feel like, waited around in Junior Cup for too long and just kind of got held back. So we definitely made that a big point. I wanted to keep progressing and keep moving up. It's definitely a dream to be in Superbikes. I think I have a good chance at doing it. Just have to keep working hard and you know just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I can make it there.
It's funny. It only seems like a couple of years that when we met you at it was Road Atlanta. It was that thing downtown, and you were there. I think
You're
you were
just
just
little kid.
Yeah, and I think that was your first weekend because I think you had just become of age that you could race in Junior Cup. So that was kind of your first foray into MotoAmerica, and we got to know you a little bit. I remember you had this interesting sort of almost like a samurai kind of a character or something. Is that right? Do you still have that?
Yeah, it was a little. We called it the Beast, and it was
Yeah.
a little guy. And when you would flip his face, it either looked happy or mad. And we kind of said it was me. If I had my helmet on, it was turned the mad way. But when I took my helmet off, I was happy. And yeah, that was my first weekend in Junior Cup down at Road Atlanta. Um, that's kind of where it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it didn't seem like it was that long ago. But do you feel like that was a long ways to go to you? You think about you now. I mean, you've raced in Supersport already, and here you're going to be, in that part of it. You've gone through a couple of classes already, so it still seems like you're pretty young. Do you still feel young, or do you feel like you've been doing this for a while?
I still feel like I'm one of the newer kids in MotoAmerica,
Yeah.
but when I think back to it, I guess I'm really not. Seeing all the Junior Cup kids coming through, and even a few of the Twins Cup kids haven't been in MotoAmerica as long as I have, and coming in at Road Atlanta, being the youngest one there, it was definitely. I still feel like I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah, and I again looking back on how you've gone through this, it also shows to me that like I think some people get hung up on staying in a class until they win a championship and then moving on. And I think with Junior Cup, you kind of got what you could out of that, and you realized like I need to keep moving, and you did so, and you don't see a lot of that.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't. Like I said, I just like to keep progressing, and I got the experience that I needed in Junior Cup, and I don't feel like having a Junior Cup championship on my resume was a necessity. And I feel like even if I didn't win Twins Cup the last 2 years, I would still, want to move up. You
Right.
know, just like I said, not getting stuck, and even Twins Cup having that on the resume isn't isn't having a Supersport championship, isn't having a Superbike championship. It's we're my goal is to be at the top level.
Right. That's smart.
Yeah. Do you so you've kind of had experience with teammates and not having teammates. Do you know yet whether you'll have a teammate this next year, and which way do you prefer it?
I really liked having a teammate just because, we could bounce ideas off each other. Kevin Olmedo, he was a really talented rider, and he is getting better, thankfully. He had a little bit of I don't know if you'd call it a sickness or what. I'm
Right.
not 100% sure what to call it, and he had to stop racing through, I think, halfway through 2022 season. But no, it was definitely nice being able to bounce ideas off each other. Being able to learn from him and look at his data. Not having a teammate, it's even with Kevin, while he was in a different class, I think just even qualifying and stuff like that, it'd be nice to have a teammate. I think being able to go follow somebody and kind of learn from them on track would be helpful, but also I feel like I can come up with my own ideas and don't have to uh, kind of follow the faster line, as we would say, if he was doing something different.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for comparison purposes, I guess, like you said. But and you get enough of that because you've done well. You think about teammates and what you've done in endurance with Weir and everything. I mean, obviously, you have been on teams where there's even more than two riders, right? And you guys have all ridden together. So that do you enjoy that kind of team aspect?
Yes, I love endurance. Endurance is some of my favorite racing out there. Just being able to go and ride as much as I can and try and keep a steady pace the whole time, but also a fast pace. Um, I definitely working with the teammates in endurance is a lot different. We're all kind of, you go out there and you ride maybe 90% the whole time instead of 110%. You want to keep the tire, you want to keep your physical condition good. You want to be able to last your whole hour and a half stint. Um, but I definitely do like the endurance and again bouncing ideas off of your teammates to know where to go faster and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back, like way back, because I don't know the answers to this, so it'll help me as well. Did you start? Did you race motocross, or did you race flat track, or were you straight to like a mini moto kid?
It was pretty much mini moto. I did 2 years of motocross when I was 4 and 5, but then somebody told us you could take your dirt bike on a go-kart track. And as soon as I hit the pavement, I didn't really care about the dirt anymore. I just love the pavement so much. I was happy to stay on it and started up at VIR. It's about an hour from me. Um, and just ever since then, just moving up from there.
Were you fast right away, or did it take a bit?
No, it definitely took a bit. I think when I was maybe 8 or 9, I kind of started getting a little bit of speed on the supermoto stuff, and then um, I think once I got on the big track, it was kind of when I was maybe 13 or 14 is when I got up to a decent pace on the bigger tracks.
Hmm. Now, did you ever consider going the Red Bull rookies route, or was that not something that you wanted to do?
We didn't see it as something we wanted to do just because of chances of making it and all of that. And also like now I'm too big for those kind of bikes. You have to to ride those bikes, you have to be 5 foot and 100 pounds. I'm sure there's people that have gone fast that are bigger, but we just never really saw it as something we would like to go do. Um, I kind of feel like going up through, kind of like Garrett Gerloff did,
Hmm.
up through MotoAmerica, and then maybe wild card and World Superbike or something like that.
Do you have any kind of a formal relationship with Yamaha? I mean, obviously, you talked to Tom, you've been riding Yamahas for a while. Is it just sort of a handshake agreement? I mean, you're working with Chuck, who's been very involved with Yamaha for a long time too. Or is it a handshake agreement, or do you have anything down? Whereas, as your career progresses, you're gonna try to continue to race Yamaha, or even not maybe not obligated, but somehow connected to that team or that brand.
Yeah, Yamaha has helped us out a lot in the last few years. Junior Cup, when I was on the R3, they helped us out. in the last 2 years in Twins Cup. It's definitely nice to have them on my side, but we're not really. Yeah, it's nice to have them on my team and just working with me these last few seasons.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot on that. I kind of know what you're driving at, Blake. Oh, by the way, I got a quick quiz for you. Do you know, there was another Blake that used to race in our series. Do you know his name?
Would that be Blake Young?
Blake Young.
See, he's a historian.
Yeah, he is. Well, I love it because in my head, I always think I always call you Young Blake. So you're Young Blake to that Blake Young. So yeah, that was before your time. I don't even know if you were born yet.
I was wondering the same thing. I guess he would be.
Yeah, I was 06. I'm
Okay.
not sure when he was racing, but I was 06.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Geez, it was right around, a little bit. I guess he raced in 11 and 12, 13 around that time period. So I guess you were around then. But
we need to get him out to a race. I need to get hold of him and have him come to, I guess, MotoAmerica or something. It would be fun to see him.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. So the part of the country you're in, it obviously gets cold. You're going to have some winter here. And Kyle Wyman, we're not really discussing the weather, but I need to ask this from Blake's point of view. What do you do for training? Do you ride bikes? Do you, maybe you don't do moto because you said you don't really like to be on dirt. So what do you do to stay in shape and keep sharp?
Yeah, not really any motocross. I go down and train with corner spin a lot down in North Carolina. It's a really good. He calls it road racing in the dirt. We're on TR 125s and we go around a little turn track, and it's the best training I've ever done.
Yeah, it's
just
good.
learning the feel of the bike sliding and everything like that, and it translates. It feels the same when it starts sliding on the asphalt, and we kind of make muscle memory to make it feel better. I also have a R3 that I ride around the go-kart tracks, and that's really good for my physical condition. A heavy bike on those real sharp turns and quick flip backs, everything like that. And also, you have to be perfect. Any little mistake on the R3 on a go-kart track, and you're either off track or over a curb, and the bike can get really upset really quick.
Yeah. I remember Corner Spin. They were there that first weekend that you joined us, and he was at that event that we had down in the square there in Georgia. So I remember meeting him. I didn't know you were still working with him, but that's cool. It's cool that you're doing that.
Yeah. Aaron Stevenson, he's helped me out a lot.
That's right.
I've been working with him for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. I think my first year at MotoAmerica was my first year working with him. And also I go down and cycle with him from time to time, try and get some miles in. But, he lives about 3 hours away. So driving 3 hours for a cycle is a little bit tough for me.
Yeah, that's rough.
Paying for my gas money and all that all the way down there. So whenever I can make it down there, I like to go train, ride dirt, and then we'll go cycle for a few miles after.
That brings me to the question of what's a day in the life of Blake Davis look like when we're not at the motorcycle races? I mean, are you training? Do you have school? Are you homeschooled? Are you done with school? Do you have a job? Give us a little bit about what your life looks like.
Yeah, so I wake up at 7:30 every day and get started on schoolwork.
Do you make your own bed? Do you make your own bed? That's an important question.
Yes.
Okay.
Make my own bed.
Good.
And get started on schoolwork on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I go to my personal trainer and do my workouts. And then that's pretty much it. It's pretty much off season is getting caught up on school.
Yeah.
During the season, it's hard to stay on time for schoolwork, but then off season, I get caught up and try and get ahead some. So maybe I can finish a little bit early, but that's pretty much it. All day working on school.
Good boy.
And you're homeschool, right?
Yes, I do all my work on the computer.
Okay. What subject is your favorite?
I would say probably history. I really like history.
Wow. Okay. Are you a math kid at all, or are you more on the other side? Like,
Words.
Um,
yeah, words or numbers?
I definitely like words a little bit better, but I
Yeah.
have been working on my math a lot because, looking towards my future, plan B, I think maybe I would need math a lot more.
What is Plan B?
I would like to go. I've been looking at, there's a college down near Atlanta that works with motorsports engineering, and I would really like to do something with that just to be able to stay in the paddock even if I can't race.
That's
Yeah,
not.
there's one. It's not Lanier College, is it?
Sorry?
It's not Lanier College, is it? They visit us when we're at Road Atlanta. They have an engineering program, and I thought it's motorsports or automotive or something like that.
I think it is.
Oh yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
have a thing with them. They're cool. They bring some of their students to the paddock and check things out. So that's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
That
that's really nice. I'll have to meet up with them next year.
yeah. We'll make sure we make that happen. Do you think have you stopped growing or are you still growing?
I'm hoping I stop growing. I don't want to be much taller. I'm about 5'9" right now, and I'm kind of hoping I've stopped.
Yeah. It's funny how you guys are like that though, but man, it seems like your generation, there's so many of these riders that you guys hope that you don't grow much more, but a lot of them just do. I mean, we got so many tall riders, Nolan Lampkin, and obviously Jake Lewis, he's a little bit older, but a lot of you younger riders have grown a lot, and it's got to be frustrating for you a little bit because you want to be that prototype size for a racer. But obviously Jake still goes really well, and Nolan does well too. I mean, Hunter Dunham's tall, I know. It's strange how that is, but have you? What I was getting at is, have you been on an R1 at all on the track and track day or practice or anything?
Yes, I'd done 2 track days on an R1,
Wow.
just riding a friend's R1, and then I got a chance at Summit Point this past year to do an endurance race on the R1, and I loved it. I felt really comfortable. Um, ended up doing. I was happy with the lap times for only having a little bit of time on the R1. Um, we ended up finishing second overall. Army of Darkness beat us right on the last lap. I'd caught up, and then it got red flagged and ended the race a little bit early. So I was a little disappointed with that, but I really like the bike. It's really comfortable for me.
Yeah, it's funny because I wondered if you're about your size. It makes sense that you would go into super sport, but there have been some riders that have skipped super sport and gone into stock 1000 and have done okay and gone pretty well with it. But what's your thinking on super sport? I mean, do you think it'll be super sport and maybe not stock 1000, maybe right to superbike from there at some point? I mean, who knows how it's going to go, but if you had it your way.
Yeah, if I had it my way, I would like to, maybe spend a year or two in Supersport and then go straight to Superbike. I don't think, I think Stock 1000 is kind of an underrated class. I think there's a lot of talented riders in there, but I don't think a lot of sponsors or anything. I don't think enough sponsors look at Stock 1000. So I
Right.
think moving right up to Superbike would be definitely my choice.
Yeah, especially this coming year. I mean, I know you saw the announcement with Ray Hall, Ducati Moto being involved, and they haven't named their riders yet, but that's going to be a formidable team with another V2. So, the assumption here is I think you mentioned, or at least we figure you're going to be on an R6. So that's still a 599cc bike. I know they've done some things to it and allowed a little bit more for it, but that's what you'll be on this year. So you're going to be fighting against some formidable hardware there and riders. You got to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited for it. The R6 is fast, and I know it can hang. I just have to ride the bike to its full ability. So I think a lot of that lies on me. We know the bike can do it. We've saw Josh Hayes do it this year. He was at the front all year, so I know it's possible. I just have to, be the best rider I can be and hopefully stay up front.
Speaking of Josh Hayes, he does a lot of coaching. Obviously, do you use him? Do you use anybody as a rider coach, or you just figure it out yourself?
Yes, Josh Hayes actually has helped me out a lot. I went on his track walks all year, and I'm actually leaving in about a week to go train with him. out in California.
Oh, I'll have to come down.
So
I'll
he's
come
like,
down and cycle with you guys or something.
Yeah, you should, Paul.
I've done
Yeah,
that
that's
before.
cool.
definitely.
He's talked to about you. He talks about you a lot. I mean, he thinks a lot of you, Blake, and I know he follows your, he's been helping you and stuff. So that's cool. I mean, he's been helping a lot of riders in the paddock. I mean, even beyond just Yamaha riders and stuff. So obviously some of the stuff he's done with Richie Escalante, but sometimes it seems like what Josh talks to you guys about isn't necessarily racecraft or riding that often. Sometimes it's other stuff. Does he help you with that other part of it? I mean, a person that comes to mind is Bobby Fong. He would talk to him kind of about just trying to stay calm and, almost like the mental aspect of it. Does he help you with that part too?
Yes, definitely, especially like last year, or 2022 season, the end of the season, I just had to finish. I think if the second place in the championship won the race, I think I just had to finish fourth or fifth. And, definitely just helped me with staying calm, but also staying sharp in the race. You don't want to slack off and give any, make any dumb mistakes by not being aware and focused. But, yeah, he definitely helps us out with the mental side of it a lot. And even this season in the rain at New Jersey, just staying calm, staying smooth. And a lot of that just comes from, how focused you are.
One of the things I remember about you last year is Daytona Twins Cup. You won your very first Twins Cup race. I think it was possibly your very first race ever at Daytona. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
That's quite a way to start things off.
Yeah, it was really nice. I had a really fast bike. I definitely can't take all of that credit for myself. It was I was struggling a lot there, but the bike ran really good, and I was able to stay in the draft. And towards the end of the race, I got up front. Unfortunately, in race 2, I hit a little bit of a slick spot on the track, and me and Dom actually had a little bit of a meeting out there in the gravel trap. But we got back going, and it was definitely a weird weekend as the first one, and started the year out slow that season, but picked it up near the end.
Well, that's kind of why I brought that up about Daytona. Is I remember how amazing it was that you won that first race, but then I remembered, of course, that second race. And I have to tell you, because you were talking about remaining calm and all that, you seem to be the type that doesn't really get too worked up. But I do remember, I think that was probably the most angry I've ever seen you after that crash in race 2. I mean, you were visibly upset, and you don't really get that way, Blake. You're pretty level-headed most of the time, but there must be a burning fire inside you that people don't really often see that too much. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the competitiveness in me kind of took over that day. I I kind of had mixed directions uh, from some of the corner workers and stuff like that, and I got confused. I made a wrong choice. I ended up coming back behind the wall to get back to the pit lane, and so I got disqualified. I couldn't restart the race. I definitely wasn't very happy, but
Yeah.
I learned from my mistake. Yeah, I will not be doing that again.
And
that's all you can do, right? Is learn from those mistakes. So,
like this year's 200 or next year's 200, you won't speed in the pits either, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'll get slowed down for pit lane this time.
That's good. I mean, so did you? I don't think you went down and did the fall thing. Did you? Were you at Daytona for that whole thing a couple weeks ago?
For the GNF for weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I was there for the endurance on Friday.
Okay.
Then after the endurance on Friday, I headed down to Daytona to get some practice in on the R6.
Okay, gotcha. That's right. Was that the endurance where you said you went up against Army of Darkness? Was that the event where you guys? That was the final event of the season? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so all year we raced Army of Darkness. At Barber, I was on an R6, and they're on the R1. We had a really good qualifying, and we actually qualified in front of all the 1000s and everything, qualified first, and just kind of struggled in the race with the mechanical. But we still finished and got the championship.
So, Blake, what do you know about Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course?
Not much actually.
He knows it's in Ohio
There's
in the middle.
yeah, right. That's about it. That's about it. I've watched videos on it and stuff like that, just trying to learn the track before we get there. Um, there was always a age limit for when we went there, so I was never allowed to race there. So it's definitely going to be fun. I like learning new tracks, and I don't think many people have been there. So again, it's just level playing field, and it's going to be really exciting to see what the new track's like. It looks like a really fun layout.
Yeah, you'll like
Yeah,
it.
I think Josh Hayes is the only one that's ever been there and it's still racing. No, I'm kidding. There's a few people, but we know Josh raced there for sure. So no, it's cool. I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot about that track and everything, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they've been finishing up paving that. You're going to have a couple tracks that are all resurfaced, and even the ones that were surfaced before this year, they're going to be pretty fresh and new too. So we're getting a lot of tracks with a lot of good surface on it. It's good that you're going to be there and involved in Supersport. Do you feel like you can be competitive in that class with that bike? I mean, you got to ride it all out, obviously. I don't know what concessions they may have this year for that bike, or what even can be done at this point, being that it's, at this point, pretty much the only 599cc bike, unless somebody's riding a GSXR 600, which not many do. So it's the smallest displacement motorcycle, but man, the thing is a weapon and has won a lot of championships and a lot of races, and it's well developed. So does that make up for it a little bit? Or, do you sometimes feel like, I don't mean to say you're bringing a knife to a gunfight, but it's like, man, that V2, I mean, that's a lot of motorcycles. So how do you feel about it?
No, I think the R6 is amazing. Like I said earlier, we've seen people be competitive on it this past year. I think Anthony Mazziato got a podium on it.
Yeah.
Josh got plenty of podiums on it. It handles definitely, I think it's the best handling bike there is. I think it's one of the greatest motorcycles ever made. Just, everyone's raced it for a really long time. It has so many championships, and I definitely think we can be competitive. At MotoAmerica this past year, when I raced it, I felt in race 2, I had pace for top 5. I had a really bad qualifying. I think I qualified like 12th, maybe. So, just I finished 7th. I was in a battle with Jake Lewis, and the bike felt strong. The bike felt really strong, and I definitely think I can be competitive. Top 5 runner all season, I think, is definitely a good goal for me.
It's certainly been a lot of good riders that have used that motorcycle to advance their careers. So
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. Are you glad to have this off season? Do you wish Daytona was around the corner, or are you okay that you got a little bit of time to do some schoolwork and train and think about what the upcoming season is going to be all about?
It's good and bad. I like riding. I always want to be on the motorcycle, but also I have some bad habits I need to get rid of. Um, and I think just having more time on the bike that's not in MotoAmerica, just being able to go ride, I can get rid of those bad habits. Um, just how I brake and where my feet are on the foot pegs, everything like that, just needs a little bit of adjusting. So it's nice to have the time to fix any of those in and outs, but definitely wish I was riding.
It's good that he's.
Now, how do you know these are bad habits? Has somebody told you this? Have you thought this? Where are you getting this from?
Yeah, I get ideas from Kyle Wyman's also a rider that has helped me out a lot. And he kind of points them out, and then I realize like the braking is what Kyle's worked with me a lot on. And I was braking with all 4 fingers before, and that's a really bad habit to get into. Not being able to trail brake as well, not being able to put enough input into the bars and everything like that. And so he kind of points it out, and then I kind of, as I'm thinking about it while I'm riding, I notice how it can hold me back and everything like that. So he gives me the ideas, and I kind of try and work around to see how I can fix them.
That's cool. That's a cool thing about our paddock is that the riders, the other riders want to give back, the more experienced ones. And, you mentioned Josh. Is there anybody, the Superbike riders, do they, is it any of the Yamaha riders or any riders on any brand of motorcycle? Do the Superbike riders talk to you or give you any tips? Matthew Skoltz, for instance, does he talk to you ever about stuff?
Yeah, Jake and Cam have kind of helped me out a lot. They both talked to me about the championship. Just a lot of what Josh was telling me, just staying calm and staying sharp. You can't relax to make any of those stupid mistakes, like I was saying earlier. Yeah, I mean, I talk to them every once in a while, just more small talk than it is, training or anything like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Tell us about Shiloh as a crew chief. And I'm not pointing out her gender at all. She's real smart. I know she does a great job. She's pretty calm and fairly quiet. You never really see her get worked up. Maybe you do. I don't really see it too often. She's pretty level-headed, but she clearly knows what she's doing. You've got 2 championships now in Twins Cup, and it's pretty impressive. So has built quite a resume. What's it like to have her in your corner?
Yeah, no, she's really smart. I think she is definitely what put the R7 on top. They're very finicky bikes, and if you have a good setup, I think it's the best bike on the grid. And just finding that setup's really tough. And that's, I think, N2 is one of maybe the only team that has found the good setup for the R7, and I definitely give that all to Shiloh. And she is definitely very quiet and to herself, but I think she's always, got her wheels turning in her head and always thinking about how she can make the bike better at the racetrack. Once you get her away from the racetrack, and she opens up a lot more.
Yeah, and how much is he involved in it? Emerson Amaya, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes, Emerson Amaya.
Okay. How much is he involved in the team? He also rides a little bit, so that's interesting.
Yes, Emerson, he actually had a bad accident at the end of the season. We've been praying for him.
Oh.
He wasn't able to come to Jersey. He was still in bed after his accident. He got pretty torn up, but he's doing a little bit better now. He's starting to, be able to, get around some around the house and stuff like that. But he was my main mechanic all year. And he's Bobblehead Moto, another main sponsor for the team. They put the bikes together and do all the major work on my bike. So he's definitely a huge part of the team.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that about Emerson at all, Blake. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, our thoughts are to him for sure. It was crazy at New Jersey with all the rain. You didn't really get out and around as much to see who was here and there. So I didn't really notice that or hear about it. But yeah, that's a shame. Also, Bobblehead Moto has a pretty big involvement on eBay, as I understand it, right? They sell a lot of parts through eBay through that brand. Is that right?
Yes, they buy and sell motorcycle parts, and I'm not really sure where they sell, but they definitely have. I go up to their shop every once in a while, and just a huge shop, and always have everything, nice and professional in there, and they have a really good setup going.
Well, listen, I put you on the spot about the Blake Young thing, and you came through with flying colors there. So I got to ask you this one too, because I literally don't know the answer to this. Why is it called Bobblehead Moto? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's because of Emerson. Emerson, he wears really big size helmets, so I think it kind of came from him.
Does he do this?
Started out as a game, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That's actually really good. Now that I pictured him, and I know, yeah, he wears a larger helmet like I do. Let me put it that way. So,
it'll be easier for me to remember now.
That's hilarious. I never put that together. So, well, anyway, hey, I think we're going to wrap up here. Is there anything else you want to mention? I mean, I assume that you're going to have a rider, a team announcement coming up here at some point, sooner than later, or is it going to be after the first of the year? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for it. I think hopefully it'll be coming out sooner than later.
Okay.
I'm not really sure when we'll be releasing any information, but big news coming. And I would also like to say thank you for having me on the podcast.
Oh, that's great.
Well, we're happy to have you on, and now that we're doing video stuff, it's good. It's good to be able to see you and do this too. So, you're always good to talk to, for sure. And like I said, I still can't believe you're growing up before our eyes here, and it seems like it hasn't been that long, but it's great that you're going to be in Supersport this year. We're looking forward to that. So, yeah, thanks for being on with this.
Also, in closing, remember, like, I know there was a plan A and a plan B, but the math thing, if plan A works out, you just can make, you'll need the math to make sure they got all them zeros right,
That's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
All right. Well, you're a nice young man, and it was great having you on here, and congratulations on your last 2 seasons and the seasons before.
Yeah.
And we're looking for big things from you this year, so it'll be cool to watch.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys take care, huh?
See you, Blake. See you, Paul.
Bye-bye.